One-Tomoe Sharingan. The journey of the Sharingan starts with a single tomoe, marking the awakening of one of the most powerful eye techniques in the ninja world. This is the first sign of the Uchiha's inherited power. The first tomoe usually awakens during moments of deep emotional pain. For young Uchiha, this often happens when they experience intense trauma, a great loss, or a life-threatening situation. The reason behind this is that the brain releases a special type of chakra in response to extreme emotions. This chakra then flows through the optic nerves, transforming the eyes. When Sasuke Uchiha first awakened his Sharingan at the age of 7, it was a reaction to witnessing his entire clan being massacred by his brother, Itachi. However, the trauma was so severe that Sasuke unconsciously suppressed the memory of activating it. He only used it knowingly years later, during his life or death battle against Haku in the Land of Waves. This highlights an important trait of the One-Tomoe Sharingan. It can be unstable and unpredictable in its early stages, especially when triggered by childhood trauma. The One-Tomoe Sharingan gives the user enhanced vision, allowing them to see movements more clearly than a normal eye. Fast-moving objects appear slightly slower, giving the user a small tactical advantage in battle. However, this effect is pretty mild compared to the later stages. It's like watching an action scene at 80% speed, rather than the dramatic slow-motion effect of the more advanced forms. At this stage, the eye also starts to sense chakra, seeing it as visible colors, but its ability to recognize complex chakra patterns or detailed chakra flow is still limited. One of the most interesting abilities of the Sharingan, even in this early form, is copying. With One-Tomoe, the user can mimic basic physical movements and simple jutsu. At this point, the copying ability is more of a learning tool rather than a perfect replication technique. Oh, and fun fact, Sasuke actually cheated on his written exam using this trick when he only had a One-Tomoe Sharingan. The One-Tomoe Sharingan comes with a high energy cost compared to its benefits. At this stage, users burn through chakra quickly, making it a burden in long battles. Young Sasuke, for example, could only keep his One-Tomoe Sharingan active for a short time before running out of energy. This inefficiency comes from the eye being incomplete. It's like how a toddler uses way more energy learning to walk than an adult taking the same steps. A humble beginning, right? That's why during the Chunin exam arc, Neji was seen as way stronger than Sasuke. Looking at Uchiha history, there's a troubling pattern. Those who awaken the Sharingan often go through more and more tragic events that push their eyes to evolve further. In that sense, the One-Tomoe Sharingan is both a blessing and a curse, a sign of great potential, but also a warning of the pain that lies ahead. Two-Tomoe Sharingan. The evolution to the Two-Tomoe Sharingan usually happens after the user has gotten used to the One-Tomoe stage and has experienced intense battles or strong psychological pressure. Unlike the initial shock needed to awaken the Sharingan, leveling up to Two-Tomoe requires growth and training. By this point, the user's brain and chakra network have adapted to the special chakra flowing through their eyes, allowing them to develop further. One of the best examples of this evolution is Sasuke Uchiha during the Chunin exams. After getting familiar with his One-Tomoe Sharingan in the Land of Waves arc, he faced a new level of pressure against Orochimaru. The guy was insanely strong, pushing Sasuke's body and mind to their limits. Under this extreme stress, his Sharingan evolved to Two-Tomoe. This is basically a survival adaptation, his body and eyes reacting to the increasing need to keep up and win. In terms of ability, the Two-Tomoe Sharingan is a huge upgrade from the first stage. Visual perception gets a serious boost, allowing the user not only to see fast movements clearly, but also to start predicting them. This is what makes the Sharingan so terrifying, the ability to read an opponent's moves before they even happen. A Two-Tomoe user can pick up on tiny muscle twitches, chakra shifts, or subtle movements, understanding their opponent's intentions in ways normal eyes never could. The copying ability also gets a major upgrade at this stage. While the One-Tomoe Sharingan could only mimic basic movements, two Tomoe allow the user to copy more complex patterns and even mid-level jutsu with high accuracy. A perfect example? Sasuke copied Lee's taijutsu and used it to take down Yoroi. Even with this power boost, the One-Tomoe Sharingan still has some big limitations. It still burns through chakra pretty fast, though it's more efficient than the One-Tomoe stage. Users can keep it active for longer, but extended fights still cause fatigue. During his fight against Gaara in the Chunin exam finals, Sasuke had to deactivate his Sharingan after using Chidori to conserve chakra, proving that even with two Tomoe, it's still an energy-draining ability. Compared to the One-Tomoe Sharingan, two Tomoe feel like leveling up from a rookie to a real fighter. The difference in combat effectiveness is huge. While one Tomoe can feel a bit clumsy, two Tomoe bring confidence and precision. But the most interesting thing about the two Tomoe Sharingan is what it says about the user's mindset. Unlike the first awakening, which is usually triggered by trauma and happens passively, evolving to two Tomoe often marks the moment when an Uchiha actively starts seeking power. And here's a fun fact. Most Uchiha awaken their Sharingan with just one Tomoe at first, but Obito, he went straight to two Tomoe from the start. Three-Tomoe Sharingan. The Three-Tomoe Sharingan is a huge power boost for the Uchiha, marking the final and most complete form of their basic eye. It's a symbol of both mental maturity and combat mastery. Unlocking the Three-Tomoe Sharingan follows a pretty specific pattern. After mastering the two-Tomoe stage, the user needs to experience even greater emotional intensity or face extreme battle pressure to reach this peak. The best example, Sasuke awakened his Three-Tomoe Sharingan during his life-or-death fight against Naruto at the Valley of the End. In that moment, with his emotions at their limit and his hunger for power pushing him beyond his boundaries, Sasuke's Sharingan fully evolved, signifying both his mental and physical growth as an Uchiha. The power of the Three-Tomoe Sharingan is seriously impressive and well-rounded. Its visual perception is on another level, far beyond the earlier stages. The user can see every movement with incredible clarity, not just tracking them, but also reading subtle signs like tiny muscle twitches. This allows them to predict an opponent's attacks with near-perfect accuracy. It's almost like they can see the future in battle, a game-changing advantage in the ninja world. The Three-Tomoe Sharingan takes copying abilities to the next level, allowing the user to mimic almost any jutsu, except for Keki Genkai techniques, with incredible accuracy. But it's not just simple copying. They can also pick up on subtle details in how the jutsu is performed, sometimes even improving on the original. This is why Kakashi, despite only having one Sharingan eye, earned the title of Copy Ninja. Illusion techniques also become way more advanced and terrifying at this stage. When Sai first met Sasuke in Orochimaru's hideout, just a glance from Sasuke's Three-Tomoe Sharingan sent him into a genjutsu shock. And then there's Itachi Uchiha, living proof of how deadly this power can be. He could take down opponents effortlessly with just a single stare. In battle, Itachi repeatedly showed how broken the Three-Tomoe Sharingan can be. He completely outclassed high-level opponents like Kakashi, a top-tier Konoha Junin, using just the basics of the Sharingan. His ability to analyze enemy jutsu and react instantly made him nearly unbeatable in close combat. Compared to earlier stages, the Three-Tomoe Sharingan is on a completely different level. It offers way better perception than the One-Tomoe stage, and much sharper prediction and genjutsu abilities than the Two-Tomoe stage. The jump from 2 Tomoe to 3 isn't just a small improvement, it's a major power leap. That said, the Three-Tomoe Sharingan isn't without its downsides. It still burns through a lot of chakra, especially for non-Uchiha users. That's why Kakashi had to keep his Sharingan covered when not in use, to conserve energy. Mangekyo Sharingan. The Mangekyo Sharingan is a tragic turning point in the power journey of the Uchiha clan. Far beyond the basic Three-Tomoe form, it symbolizes the deep connection between pain and power for the Uchiha. The way to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan is one of the clan's darkest secrets, so dark that many Uchiha refuse to pass it down out of fear. Unlike the previous Sharingan stages, the Manjikyu can only be unlocked through extreme emotional pain, specifically by witnessing or causing the death of a loved one. The overwhelming grief triggers a special kind of chakra in the brain, unlocking the deeper potential of the Sharingan. Every major character who awakened the Manjekyu has a heartbreaking story behind it. Itachi awakened his after the death of his best friend, Shisui Uchiha, who took his own life and entrusted Itachi with his power to protect the village. Sasuke awakened his after learning the truth, that Itachi sacrificed everything for him. And Obito, he watched Rin, the girl he loved, jump into Kakashi's attack, a shock so devastating that it completely changed him and triggered his Manjekyu Sharingan. One of the most interesting things about the Manjekyu Sharingan is that each one has a unique pattern, completely different from person to person. Itachi's had a 6-pointed pinwheel design, Sasuke's looked like a 3-bladed scythe, Obito's resembled a spinning wheel, and Shisui's had 4 swirling points inside the pupil. The deeper origins of the Manjekyu Sharingan trace back to Indra Otsutsuki, the son of the Sage of 6 Paths, and the ancestor of the Uchiha. Indra's desire for power and his isolation set the foundation for the Uchiha's so-called curse of hatred, where strength is always tied to pain and loneliness. This curse is further linked to the DNA of the Ten Tails, Jubi, the original source of chakra in the world, which is reflected in the Uchiha's eye structure. The abilities granted by the Manjekyu Sharingan are on a completely different level compared to the standard One-Tomoe Sharingan. What makes it special is that each user gains unique powers based on their personality and emotional experiences. Unlike the previous Sharingan forms, which mostly granted the same abilities to all users, the Manjekyu gives each person a signature power that is completely their own. Amaterasu, the eternal black flames, also known as the Fire of the Gods, is one of the most powerful abilities in Naruto. It's the strongest fire in the series, capable of burning through anything, even other flames. Itachi and Sasuke are the most well-known users of this jutsu. Sasuke later used Amaterasu to attack the Raikage, costing him one of his arms. Tsukuyomi, the ultimate genjutsu, is an insanely powerful illusion technique. Anyone trapped in Tsukuyomi is thrown into a world completely controlled by the user, where both time and space are distorted. In this illusion, Itachi is basically a god. He dictates everything. When he used it on Kakashi, he made him experience 72 hours of torture in just a few real-world seconds, which was enough to put a high-level Junin into a deep coma. Kamui, possibly one of the most broken Manjekyu abilities, allows the user to manipulate space in unreal ways. Obito Uchiha uses Kamui to make his body intangible, letting attacks phase right through him, and he can also teleport objects into another dimension. Kakashi, who had the other eye, could create a suction effect from a distance, making things disappear from reality. This ability made Obito nearly untouchable in battle, basically invincible, until his secret was finally figured out. And of course, we have to talk about Susanoo, the ultimate ability of the Manjekyu Sharingan. It's a massive chakra avatar that surrounds the user, forming a powerful warrior. To fully activate Susanoo, the user needs to awaken the Manjekyu in both eyes. It evolves through multiple stages, starting as just a ribcage and eventually becoming a fully armored humanoid warrior with unique weapons. And yeah, it's insanely overpowered. It's the ultimate defense and has destructive power on par with the tailed beasts. Compared to the standard One-Tomoe Sharingan, the Manjekyu is on a completely different level. No wonder Orochimaru was so obsessed with getting his hands on Itachi's eyes. But this insane power comes with a brutal price. Every time the user activates the Manjekyu, especially its special abilities, their eyesight takes serious damage. Over time, this leads to complete blindness, a cruel fate for eyes that once had godlike vision. Itachi, after using his Manjekyu too much, was almost completely blind during his final battle with Sasuke. Eternal Manjekyu Sharingan. The Eternal Manjekyu Sharingan is the ultimate evolution of the Uchiha clan's eye power, born from sacrifice and pain. Unlike the regular Manjekyu, which awakens through deep emotional loss. This form can only be achieved through a terrifying act, transplanting the Mangekyo Sharingan from a blood relative. This evolution removes the biggest weakness of the normal Mangekyo Sharingan: blindness from overuse. With the Eternal Mangekyo, your vision stays perfect forever, allowing you to use its abilities without destroying your own eyes. The design of the Eternal Mangekyo is a mix of both the donor's and the receiver's Mangekyo. For example, Sasuke's version combines Itachi's three-blade pattern with his own six-point star. The power boost is insane. As long as you have enough chakra and stamina, you can spam Mangekyo abilities non-stop. Techniques like Amaterasu and Susanoo become even stronger, with Susanoo reaching its perfect form, a massive warrior with legendary weapons, capable of fighting tailed beasts. Madara showed this power in the Fourth Great Ninja War, and Sasuke used his in the battle against Kaguya. The Eternal Mangekyo is incredibly rare. Since it requires two blood-related Mangekyo users, very few have ever achieved it. In Uchiha history, only Madara and Sasuke unlocked this evolution, making it a legendary symbol of destiny and power. Rinne Sharingan. The Rinne Sharingan is the ultimate form of the Sharingan, something beyond even the greatest Uchiha could ever imagine. It's not just an advanced version of the Sharingan, it's the original source of all ninjutsu, the Eye of a God. This eye represents the power to control the fate of all humanity. Unlike the previous stages of the Sharingan, the Rinne Sharingan cannot be awakened through training or emotional trauma. In all of Naruto's history, only two people have ever possessed this legendary eye. The first and original user was Kaguya Otsutsuki, the woman who ate the chakra fruit and became the source of all chakra in the world. Her Rinne Sharingan appeared as a third blood-red eye on her forehead, with 9 tomoe. The second person was Madara Uchiha, who awakened it after becoming the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. However, before he could fully use its power, his body was taken over by Kaguya. Sasuke's eye is also a Rinnegan with tomoe, but it's more like a Rinnegan layered on top of a Sharingan rather than a true Rinne Sharingan. Visually, the Rinne Sharingan is a marvel. The user can see across all dimensions they control and even sense life forms in different spaces. Kaguya demonstrated this when she could track Team 7's movements no matter where they were in her created dimensions. And of course, we have to talk about Infinite Tsukuyomi, the ultimate genjutsu that traps all of humanity in a dream world completely controlled by the user. Kaguya once used it to dominate ancient humanity, and Madara successfully cast it before being taken over. This is way beyond normal genjutsu. It's not just an illusion in someone's mind, but a reality-altering technique on a global scale, turning people into white zetsu. Another insane ability is Amenominaka, a space-time jutsu that lets the user create and move between different dimensions. Kaguya used this constantly in the final battle, shifting the battlefield from an icy desert to a lava-filled hellscape. Finally, the Rinne Sharingan connects directly to the Ten Tails chakra, an infinite energy source, allowing the user to manipulate and absorb chakra on an enormous scale. In combat, the Rinne Sharingan has led to some of the most epic battles in the entire Naruto series. When Kaguya appeared in the final fight, her power went beyond anything seen before. One of her most terrifying moves was the expansive truth-seeking ball, a massive chakra orb capable of wiping out an entire dimension and creating a new one. Even Naruto, with six-path Sage Mode, couldn't counter it head-on. In the end, the Rinne Sharingan is the bridge between human and godlike power, a place where the line between strength and control becomes blurred. With all its overwhelming abilities and mysteries, it marks the final chapter in the evolution of ocular power in Naruto. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.